Serhant.
Ryan Serhant.
Ryan Serhant.
Ryan Serhant.
It's me, Ryan Serhant.
Ryan Serhant.
Ryan Serhant.
Today, I'm here with Ryan Serhant, who's the #1 realtor in New York City.
Hi.
Thanks, Ryan, for allowing us to come to your office today and being on our podcast. Really
No problem.
appreciate that. You know, with all the stuff that you have going on now in terms of, you know, obviously the TV show, $1 Million Listing,
Yes.
Your own TV show, Sell It Like Serhant, and obviously your book. I'm going to get into all of that stuff with you.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know, because I'm in sales myself, been doing it for almost 15 years. What made you get into sales?
Freedom.
Okay.
Freedom. I wanted to do something. I mean, the story is much bigger than just freedom, but I didn't want to be chained to anybody. I didn't really want to work for anybody else. I understood the risks inherent in that there's no ceiling, but there's also no floor.
I love that.
You can go as high as you want, but you also can go through the floor and to the depths of despair, and no one's going to pick you up because there's no boss. But that was okay with me, because with great risk comes great reward.
Sure.
And with sales, which I think is one of the best jobs, you know, one of the best careers anyway, anybody can have, and I think everybody is a salesperson anyway.
What do you mean by that?
I think that, because everybody's a salesperson, and if you're a CEO, you might say you're the CEO, but you're selling your company and the services so that the people underneath you can sell. You know, I don't show apartments all day, every day. I have a team that does that now, but I'm selling myself, I'm selling our services, I'm selling my team, I'm selling our ability to sell better as, you know, my sales topic. But yeah, it's really, I got into it for the freedom, and I didn't want anyone to ever tell me what to do. And no one is ever going to tell a salesperson they've sold too much.
I love that.
Right? Like, it's not going to happen. No one's ever going to come to me and be like, Ryan, you know what? Hold on. It's August. You've sold too much this year.
Go.
You should take a step back.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, you have investment bankers who, like, they get to certain points. It affects their bonus. You know, they could sell as much as they want,
Right.
but they might not get paid for it. Right? For us, like, I know you eat what you kill, and if you kill a lot, you get to eat more. That's it.
So then, why real estate and, for example, not investment banking? So why? What was the transition?
Smart enough. My whole family's in investment banking.
Okay.
And I was forced to take econ classes, and we'll just let all the listeners know right now that we are on Broadway in Soho in my office, and you will hear sirens.
Yeah,
I want
okay.
everybody
I've
to
heard
be
it
aware.
already. Yeah.
You're going to hear it. So it's not like we're not paying attention. It is loud in New York City. I took all the econ classes in college and calculus and everything, and it just wasn't my thing. I wanted to be an actor. That's why I came to New York City.
Right.
And I was just better with people and talking to people and massaging people, and
Obviously, that comes natural to you.
yeah. And when the acting thing didn't work out, then it's not that it didn't work out, it's just that it wasn't working. I wasn't making any money.
Right.
And I couldn't afford to live in New York City anymore, and I had to get what's called like a survival job, right? Which is, to do your dream, you have to wait tables or bartend.
Okay.
And I didn't want to do that, because I saw a lot of actors who were much older than me, who were professional bartenders and waiters, who had like this side hobby of trying to be an actor, and they were 50 and they were 60. It's like, man, why would I set myself up for that? If you set yourself up with too comfortable of a net, you're going to live in the net, and how will you ever climb up? Have you ever been like in a net? It's hard to get out.
For sure.
Right. Someone has to come and get you and pull you up. It's really hard.
Sure, you get all tangled up.
Yeah, exactly. It's confusing. So I didn't want to put myself in that position. And I had a friend, honestly, in college who we did theater together, and he couldn't, he needed some sort of job when he first graduated. I had like a little bit of savings from ranch hand work in Colorado and stuff to be able to like support myself for like a year or two in New York City as an actor. But he went and got his real estate license and just started renting apartments and would do acting things on the side. And so he just kept pushing me, and he was like, listen, you can't not make money forever. Like, you have to eventually figure out how you're going to pay rent and pay food and figure out life. And so just get your real estate license, right? You don't have to show up at the bar every day at 7 p.m. or you don't have to temp where like they call you in and then you have to go do it.
Sure.
Right? You can post listings online. If someone calls you, you show them apartments. If they take one, you get paid.
Can I ask how old you were at this time, approximately?
It was 2008, so I was 24, I want to say.
Big jump.
Yeah, 2008, so I was 24.
Big jump though, right? Like 24 years old, you have somewhat of a steady income coming in, and now you're going to get into something that's...
No, I had no income. That's why I got into real estate.
So nothing at
zero.
that time?
No,
okay.
I was making... my best paying job was as a hand model being paid $150 an hour to hold phones. Right? I did a soap opera as well.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah, my hands. I played a lot of piano.
Okay.
I did a soap opera as well, but that didn't pay as well as hand modeling did.
Sure.
And so it really was just kind of like eating into savings and then kind of plugging a little bit back, and it was freaky, right? But I was also, like when you're 22, 23, 24, I was just out of college. It still hadn't hit me that I was an adult yet. I was still kind of a college kid who just happened to live in New York. You know, and so it didn't feel like I had to save. It didn't feel like I had to make money. I just wanted to try to do what I had always wanted to do. And then real estate gave me the ability to work incredibly hard and just have a better chance of making money versus working incredibly hard and leaving it to the gods, which is what acting was.
Okay, so now you're in real estate.
Yeah.
When does the team, the aha moment happen for you that, you know what, I'm going to start building this out as a team?
There are two aha moments for me. I'd say the first one was about staying in real estate in general, right? Which was, I was sitting, and I read about this in the book because it was like a pinnacle moment for me. But I didn't know it at the time. At the time, it was just like a terrible day. Looking back now, it was an aha moment. So I think it's important for people to know that, because I think a lot of people wait for their moment to strike them, but it doesn't. It's not like lightning. Like if you look back now, you'll be like, oh yeah, you know what? 9th grade, that was an important year for me because of X, Y, and Z. But at the time, it's just fucking high school.
It's just,
you know?
it's just yeah.
So for me,
I love it.
I was in our real estate office, which was above a burger restaurant, very smelly, small brokerage, right? And there was a guy there who didn't go to high school. He didn't graduate high school, sorry, and was from a really tough neighborhood in Brooklyn. And, you know, just we came from opposite side of the tracks, and he was crushing it.
Okay.
He was renting apartments every day, commission checks all day long. The guy couldn't even like put together a sentence. Like I couldn't understand. It was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. Okay. Like maybe like if he can do this, then maybe I shouldn't do this. And I went and I like called my older brother because I wasn't able to close a single deal. I don't like people would leave me on the street. People would lie to me. It just like
It's
I
hard
hated
to believe
this business.
that you couldn't do a deal. Okay, go on.
Dude,
Yeah.
the business is just so hard,
Yeah.
and it was so difficult, and especially in the beginning. And I called my older brother, and I was like, you know what, dude, screw this. This business sucks. I need to come home. I need to figure things out. And I think he was just really busy that day because he was like, shut up, you little bitch. Stop crying.
What's the age difference between your brother and...
12 years.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, 11
okay,
years. So if he was like, if he can do it, you can do it. Just go talk to him. So ask him. Like, have you asked him, how do you close so many deals? Have you asked him how to do this? And I was like, no, I don't know. I'm nervous. I don't know. And so then I was like, all right, fine, maybe I'll just go ask him. He's right. If he can do it, then I can do it. I don't get it. So I went up to him and I was like, hey man, you do really well and I'm new to this. Can you just like tell me like, how do you do it? And he looks at me and he says, nah man, I ain't telling you shit. And
Whoa.
he walked away.
I did not expect that.
I know, me neither. And so, but that was so it was a shitty day. That's why I said it was a bad day. But in hindsight, I was like, you know what? Okay, fine, I don't need his help. And maybe he's threatened by me, which is weird because I'm not doing any deals and he's doing all the deals. But if he can do this, I can do it. I'm just doing it the wrong way, or I'm just thinking about this the wrong way. So that kept me in the business when I was about to quit in a weird, messed up way. The team aha moment came from when I had started to do some more transactions and some deals, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do acting anymore. I'm not even going to put it into my like plan as I'm also going to be this person. I'm going to be a full-on real estate agent, and if I'm going to do this, I want to be the best in the world. Like when I moved to New York to be an actor, I wanted to be like Sean Penn, you know? And so,
or maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right? So like Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. So I wasn't like, I just want to do off Broadway and play a clock in a play the rest of my life. I want to be the best. Right? If I'm going to try anything, why not be the best? Why ever settle for mediocrity? It just didn't make sense to me. So same thing for real estate. I said, okay, who are the best? And I looked at the top 5 people on the Wall Street Journal list. They all had teams. They all had business partners. I said, oh, okay, so I need a business partner, I need a team. Backwards thinking, now I know that. So I got a business partner, and we kind of started a team. And the team started because I made a decision early on to that I wanted to do the biggest business possible. I didn't just want to do $2,000 a month rentals in Koreatown. I wanted to do $5 million sales, $10 million deals,
Okay.
$20 million deals. And I didn't know how to get there because I didn't know anybody.
Sure.
So I figured, you know what, it's going to be a small ladder, right? Because everybody is in their own circle of influence. So a $2,000 a month renter, they know somebody that can afford $2,500 a month apartments. They probably don't know somebody, or they're definitely not going to refer me to somebody who can buy a $5 million apartment, but they're friends with people who share their misery. Right? Same thing now, thinking about it now, I have clients who buy $20, $30, $40 million apartments.
Sure.
Their friends are the ones who can share in their misery about the private jets and about the yachts. They're not really friends with people that do $2,000 a month apartments. So you have to be in a referral source and a referral circle of influence that makes sense. So with the team, I said, okay, every time I do a bigger deal, right, that is now the deal that I do. And I only do that and above. Everything else below, I'm gonna do for the team, and the team's gonna handle it. So
Great tip for realtors there. So I want
always.
to really elaborate on that. How does somebody get from doing $300,000 units to 500
Sure.
and 800,000?
So you're only as good as what you tell people you are, right? Like you're only, like think about a baseball player, you know, like a pitcher. They might be great at first base, but if they only are a pitcher every day and they only talk about being a pitcher every day, why would anybody ever ask them to play first base? Maybe they're even better at first base. That's why certain sports teams are so great, because they move players around to see what they're really good at. And so, you know, the power of PR is incredibly important. So if you do, in New York City it's rentals, right?
Okay.
But we can take sales. You know, if you do $300,000 deals all day long and you want to do $1 million deals, you don't just start knocking on doors of $1 million houses. You can. That's work too.
Sure.
But you can start working the people that no one trusts you, who you've done deals with, at that $300,000 range. One of those people, either through them personally, or through one of their friends, or through social media, or through a direct mail flyer that you're going to do, or through door knocking, whatever you're going to do, is going to know someone that can afford up to $350,000. Okay, and you're going to do that deal. It's going to happen tomorrow. It could happen in 10 years. Whenever it happens, once you do that deal, you now only talk about doing deals $350,000 and above. Anyone that comes to you with a $250 to $300 budget, right, or a $325,000 budget, you have a team, even if it's one person. And when I first started, it was Yolanda. Yolanda handled that person, right?
Okay.
And then it was Bill, and then it was Tatiana, and then it's just grown since then. Once you do that $350,000 deal, you're going to meet somebody because of that deal who can afford up to $400,000, right? And before you know it, you're going to be doing only deals at $500,000 above. So everything you put on social media, everything you put out there has to be at that certain price point and above. Otherwise, success begets success. If people know you for being great at doing $300,000 deals, then that's what you're going to get, and you can't complain about it. But if you completely change the way you talk about your business and move up that ladder slowly, you will by yourself get into that $1 million range.
Love it.
Without having to have like a lottery one.
Right.
And that's how it works. And that's how we built the team.
With your team, just sticking with that for a sec,
Yeah.
on the show, the $1 Million Listing, it looks like you're involved with a lot in terms of open houses and listings. I kind of want to tie that into your management strategy. Is that something that you do a lot of still?
Sort of.
Okay.
It depends on the deal, honestly. It depends on the deal, it depends on the listing.
Okay.
There's certain listings where I need to be really a part of it.
Okay.
There's certain listings that I'm a part of it 10% of the time, right? And it also depends on the team member. If they're newer, I'm really a part of it. If they're part of my apprentice program, I'm not as much of a part of it because I know that there's a senior agent on the team who's handling it. If it's somebody who's senior on the team, then they're keeping me posted and they're reporting to me. And I'm still the one who brings in the majority of the business. I close most of the deals. I'll do a lot of the difficult negotiating, and the team is there to grow, right?
Awesome.
They want to learn. I put them in difficult positions all day long because if I'm like the dad who just comes and saves you all day long, you're never going to learn to swim.
It's awesome.
You know?
I like it.
Yeah.
You have so much.
But it's still my name, right? It's still my name.
Your brand.
And my brand. So if one of them screws up, it's not them screwing up, it's Ryan screwing up.
Right.
And so I remind them of that all the time. Like if you say something stupid, or if you send an email with improper grammar, or if you show up late, like Bill didn't show up late. Ryan's team showed up late.
You have so much stuff going on. We had an appointment today for 11:30. I saw you walk in at 11:20. Like it seems like your schedule is right on
15
point.
minute, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So take us through a day in Ryan's life with all the stuff that you have going on.
Okay, so my day starts. I talk about this in the book too. So it's a good question because I never found a book for entrepreneurs and for salespeople that talked about how to logistically be a salesperson. Like, how do you build a sales career? How do you structure your day? There's so many bullshit books that talk about like how to sell a banana and be yourself. But like it's not helpful.
No.
You only wrote that.
No strategy there.
You only wrote that because you were told to write a book and you wanted to make money or something. Like, I wrote this book specifically for my team. It is a playbook for growing my team and growing my own band. If people want to read it as well, and I think they should, then great. But like, it is my Bible for how to build a sales career selling either 24 hours a day or a side hustle, whatever you want to do. So the schedule for me starts the night before, right? The night before, I make sure that email is completely cleaned out, and I make sure I go through my calendar. I make sure all my appointments are confirmed for the day before. Jordan also does that as well, confirmed for the day after, I'm sorry. And I have a really solid grip on exactly what I'm doing the next day. I never wake up and I'm like, all right, so what's on the calendar today? Like that I'm already late to the game, right? Every day is a race, is the way I see it. And that's why I say ready, set, go all the time, because like, you just don't know what kind of race you're gonna run. You just have to be ready. Like, it could be a marathon, it could be a sprint, it could be a jog, or it could be a skip, or it could be a marathon again, and then it's a sprint again, you don't know.
You don't know.
You just have to be ready for that race.
Sure.
So I plan the night before, and then I'm ready to go. Everything's cleaned. I'm a strong believer in keeping my inbox at 0, right? And I'm very, 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 very organized with regards to email. I have an assistant specifically who just does email with me, and they do it in the middle of the night. Okay. So everything is filed. I actually got an email once from Apple and from Microsoft Outlook Exchange who said they'd never seen anyone with more folders than me.
Get out of here.
Because my phone, because the new iPhone, it's just like iPhone 6 at the time, wasn't syncing, because apparently it was like, we don't know what to do with all these folders, and so the phone had a mental breakdown and I couldn't get my emails. A disaster. Yeah, a tech fiasco.
Yeah, sure.
So we fixed that.
Okay. So middle of the night emails, you're working on emails?
No, I'm sleeping middle of the night.
Right.
Yeah, his name is Jasper, so he's coordinating, so he's filtering and everything.
Awesome.
Because oftentimes, like, you search for an email and you can't find it, you don't know where it is, so everything is broken down by trade, by person, by deal, by unit, etc. And then I wake up at 5. Answer emails that came in for the night before. I drink my little drink to wake me up, like a pre-workout drink. I go work out from 5:45 to 7, depending on the day, but typically yes. I shower, I eat a little bit if I'm like hungry, or I'll eat when I get to the office. And I'm in the office by like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I don't live far from the office. Okay. I always like to start the day at the office and end the day at the office. I'm hardly ever, honestly, like in and out. Okay. Because I have a car and a driver, and I'm in the back seat all day long. Sure. And I'll say too that a lot of people are like, oh, well, you have a car and a driver, life must be great. Like, I got the car and the driver 6 years ago when I could not afford a car and a driver. Like, a lot of people should stop complaining.
What made you do that though?
Because you invest in your business. Like, you have to invest in your business. The same way you pay taxes, the same way you buy food, you have to invest back into your business. And for me, I was like, you know what if I had more time to do deals and to talk to people and to plan? What if I didn't have to focus on transportation? Because in the city, you're either running for taxis or Ubers or Lyfts or going in and out of the subway. And 6 years ago, going in and out of the subway, there was no service. And so I'd lose service, and I'd come up, and then I'd be late, right? Just like today. I'd be running in, and now I'm like an hour behind on emails. After you and I today, then I'd be 2 hours behind, and then I go into another appointment, and then I'd be backed up. So the best thing about the car is that it takes out any thinking for me with regards of how I'm gonna get from A to B. So I'm allowed to get to twice as many places a day, so I can do double as much, so that the car pays for itself right then anyway. But in all of that commuting time, now I can also catch up on any work that I'm gonna miss, and I'll be that much more productive. So I'm not just doubly productive, I'm quadruply productive. And it has proven itself over and over and over. It's the best investment I ever made, to not have to think about how to get from A to B, as somebody whose job it is all day long to go from A to B. For people who go to the office every day, like, you can commute, right? You don't need it. But for salespeople, or for people that have 10 appointments all over the city all day long, it just doesn't make sense.
So you get back to the office before the end of the day.
Yeah, I try
and what
to.
does that kind of consist of?
I try to clean up, touching base with the team, making sure Jordan's okay, Shannon's okay, Yolanda, Kristen, everybody else. Sometimes Jordan will try to stack meetings like early on in the day here or end of the day, because I'm in like appointments in the middle of the day. And just, again, kind of doing what I talked about, like the end of my day is getting ready for the next day.
Right.
And taking anything with me I would need to have in the car for the day ahead. And then going to like a dinner or two or an event or something like that. And then eventually getting home and seeing my wife.
Beautiful wife, by the way.
Thanks.
Congrats on the wedding. It's been how many years?
2
now?
years now.
And how's that? Everything's good?
Yeah, she's still there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You surprised?
Kind of. Kind of. Dude, I'm not easy to be married to. Like, I give her a lot of credit, and she reminds me of that every day.
Can you touch a little bit more on that in terms of the balance? How do you balance that?
It's really hard. You know, you have to, well, one, it's about finding the right partner, which is super cliche, and people say that all the time. But you have to find somebody that is okay with your lifestyle and okay with your work style, like, and okay with what your dreams are. And you need to set those expectations at the beginning of the relationship. Like, it would not work if Amelia didn't want me to do what I want to do. Like, if I had told her I just want to have a 9 to 5 and like spend weekends, you know, at the beach or something like that, she would have been fine with it, but that wasn't the deal. The deal was that I want to be the greatest broker in the history of the world, and I want to build a brand that no one's ever seen before, and I want to take on, you know, the planet. And she was like, okay, let me know what you need to do.
I'm down. That's crazy.
But there are a lot of people that would not be okay with that.
Sure.
But we make time. Like, we make little sacrifices. So, like, anytime I have to schedule something like after 7 p.m., I run it by her first, which for someone with my brain doesn't compute, right? Because I just want to do as much as I can every day. But it's been good because then she kind of knows what's going on, right?
Right.
If it's something on a Saturday, right, I run it by her first if it's like really important, things like that.
You said you want to be the greatest broker in the world. I know I saw a post a couple of days ago on, I'm going to say Instagram, where you mentioned your team is done now $22 million in commissions.
It was last year, 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
So what's the goal for 202018?
Oh man.
If you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, more.
Okay.
More. You know, I set super specific goals for the team. For me, it's always just to do more, right? It used to be to double. Doing 40 million in commissions in a year would be hard. So
sorry, double every year?
Yeah, it used to be to double every year, which is easy when you're doing 200,000, then 400,000, then 800,000, you know, the 1.6, and so on and so forth. Now it's just to do more and to grow, you know, and to bring in more business. So one of my favorite quotes ever is from a jazz musician. I think his name was Roy Hargrove. And on his deathbed, he was asked how he did it, how he was able to create music through drug addiction, through multiple marriages, through this, that, the other, ups and downs of life, right? Markets coming, markets going. And he said, you know what? You take care of the music, and the music will take care of you.
Ooh.
And that stuck with me because if you take care of the work will take care of you. So if I focus on money, then it's just not going to happen because a watched pot never boils, right? It's only once you look away that all of a sudden it's boiling. So my goal every day is to bring in as much business as possible. And if I just take care of the business and I take care of the work, success begets success, like we talked about. I keep working my way up that ladder. The team will grow, the business will grow. I'll diversify. I'll be in places I never thought I would be, which is what's happening now. I'll write books. I'll do TV shows. I'll do as much as I can, and it'll take care of us in terms of commissions.
You know, another thing that you coined is expansion always in all ways.
Yeah.
For our listeners or the guys who haven't seen your vlog yet, which is amazing, you got to catch it. The growth of that vlog in such a short period of time, unbelievable, and a huge congrats to you. Talk to us a little bit about where that came from and what that really means.
Expansion always and always has been my motto since, I'd say, 2010, because that's right around where $1 Million Listing started. And honestly, it wasn't like it was tattooed into me. $1 Million Listing producers said, beginning of every episode, you have to have a motto. And I was like, motto? All I say every day is ready, set, go, because my dad told me to say that when I was a little kid. But that's not really a motto. That's a tagline, right? That's like a mantra. So what's my motto? And I just had to, it took me like a minute to like think. I was like, you know what? I always talk about growing, and if you're not growing, you're dying, and I'd rather regret the things I did than the things I never tried, and I don't want to be a sitting pond, I want to be a running river, and like, growth is happiness, progress is happiness. Tony Robbins talks about that all the time. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it's constantly expanding all of the time, constantly expanding all the time, constantly expanding always, expansion always in all types of ways, in all ways, and that's how it came about. That was literally the brain thought.
Okay. Do you find that takes up a lot of time, though, in terms of maybe going after things that you might not have if you would say no sometimes? Because another thing you always mention is you always say yes, which is amazing. But do you ever find that from a business perspective, you might lose out on other opportunities?
No, because I don't say yes to opportunities at the detriment to another opportunity.
Okay.
Like that's what I have the team for, and you make it work. You say yes and you figure it out. You figure it out. But you also have to be a good person. You have to work hard. Like you have to be there. I don't say yes to things and then not show up.
Right.
I know a lot of people in this business who say yes to things and then don't show up. And that's not what I mean. Like you say yes to things and you actually follow through with what you say you're going to do. And you be there and you be there on time and you do what you say you're going to do and you look nice and you smell nice, right? And people drive me crazy. But it's the book title originally, I'll give you a little hint. The book title originally, because I always talk about keeping balls up in the air, right? You want to have as many balls up in the air as possible. The original title of the book was Balls Up. And that's how I sold it. I sold it in a bidding war to I can't remember, I think it was 6 or 7 different publishers. It was craziness.
Okay.
And then the one who won was like, oh, and by the way, I think we might have to change the title. And I'm like, but that's my whole life, is keeping balls up in the air and figuring out how to live in controlled chaos. Because that's how salespeople work, right? The more chaos you can control, the better of a salesperson you can be, and the more deals you do at the end of the day. But they said you can't have balls in a title. The times are weird. You can't do that. So we changed it to the title of the show, which is Sell Like Serhant. And so you have to figure out like a little kid.
Right.
I think we are taught incorrectly as a little kid to put our toys away when we're done with them before taking out another one. You know, like I remember like getting yelled at because I'd have G.I. Joes in one corner, a video game in another, and like a board game in another. And so my mom was like, well, you made a mess. You made a mess. You got to put a toy away before you take out another one. Like that's manners, you know? And for me, like what's really the issue? Is it that I'm not playing with them right now? Because I'm going to go back to playing with them later. The issue is that they're just a mess. So what if I keep them out so I don't have to spend the time going in and out of the cupboard? And I'll keep them out, but they'll be orderly and they'll be nice and they'll be taken care of. That way I can get to them all in an orderly fashion. I'll be super efficient with all of them. And then I can have all my toys in front of me. Oh, and by the way, cupboard's really small, room's really big. Now I have even more room for more toys. And that is my sales philosophy. You have more room for more deals and more clients than you even understand. You just have to know how to organize and communicate and control that quote unquote chaos or that quote unquote mess so that it's not a mess. A lot of people say yes to too many things and they're crazy. They're like chickens with their head cut off. That's the standard real estate agent, and that's what I wrote the book for. I wrote the book for people that don't want to be that, who want to have a controlled sense of volume, because I never want the feeling, and I feel like I'm rambling, but I never want the feeling of like I talk about it in the book a lot too, but I think every salesperson has had that feeling where you have a deal and then the deal dies. Yeah. And it's like in the pit of your stomach. For sure. And like that person just called me, Sandy Krause, is an attorney, probably telling me a fucking deal's died. So I'll call him after. Sorry to swear, but it is like that pit in your stomach of like, what am I going to do? Right? Because you live and die by like 1 or 2 deals at a time. Do
you find that too? Because I feel it all the time. I remember the deals I didn't close.
Yeah, always.
More than the ones.
Yeah, that's why the book is full of failure, because it's like, it was so much easier for me to remember the details of awful deals that didn't work out than it was to remember like the great ones. Right. So I tried to mix it up as much as I could. But that volume is there because I never wanted to have that feeling again. Because if that attorney who just called me is going to tell me a deal's died, it's going to suck. I'd rather do it, obviously. Sure. But I have 60 more that are going at any given time that will keep me okay.
The whole principles of plenty, right?
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. And it's not throwing shit up against the wall and seeing what sticks. It's controlled business model to handle as many clients as you can, and then doing it through leverage. Right? The team is there not because I want to make money off of them. The team is there so that I can make more money and do more business. They're there to support me. And if they happen to do deals on their own and I'll make money from those, that's great. But that is pure bonus and gravy for me. I don't count that.
Now, the book wasn't just written for realtors. I know you mentioned it was a playbook for the team.
Yeah, for sales.
For sales in general. Yes. So anybody in the business, and that kind of, does that follow the whole thing about Sell It Like Serhant?
This TV show, if you watch it, every episode was me going into a different job and helping a different salesperson who's about to be fired, right? But it was the idea that if you can sell high-end real estate in New York City, you can sell shoes. You can sell body waxing, right? You can sell kitchen cabinets in Staten Island. You can sell sheep in Colorado. Because how to be a salesperson and how to sell doesn't change. Right?
Sure.
You're just connecting two human beings. So if you know how to do that, then the product can change all the time. Like the things I do to sell real estate in New York are the same things that people do to sell body lotion in Long Island. They just don't really think about it because it doesn't feel like they're doing something big, right? I think the benefit that I've had to being in New York City is that the numbers are big, the properties are big, so it feels big, right? The TV show makes it feel big.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, like, what am I really doing?
Right.
I didn't build any of this stuff. I didn't build this stuff. I just connect a buyer to a seller or a seller to a buyer, and I talk about stuff in the middle. And maybe they'll do it, and maybe they won't.
Well, right.
It's the same thing whether you're selling, tennis rackets on eBay,
right.
or your grandfather died and he's got a bunch of World War II memorabilia in the garage, and you're going to start selling that, through auction houses or online, like
Flipping
that.
it.
Yeah, exactly. It's all the same stuff.
What are you seeing in New York now, Ryan? Like in terms of, who's coming in here, who's buying, like just getting into the city, and there's a lot of construction happening and stuff. And what's happening in the market here in New York?
At the end of the day, New York City is always hyper local. Right? It's a global market. People from, can you hear that music, by the way?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
The background.
Yeah, we have music in the office. So at the end of the day, New York City is a global. It's a global buyer for a hyper local market. Right. The slogan for Nest Seekers was always global network, local market, and that's because everybody in the world would love to one day be in New York. Would love to own in New York if they could. But you have to be here on the ground to actually sell it. And so we are local brokers in New York City, selling New York City to the world. But at the end of the day, New York City is a local city as well. 70% of the buildings here are rental buildings. So 70%, I think it's actually even a little bit more, are rentals for people all over the world, but mostly for New Yorkers who actually live and work here. Right? 30% of that is then for ownership, but only a small portion of it is condo, which would be for foreigners. So a lot of foreign talk happens regarding New York City because it's easy to talk about and it's good media, but it's the New Yorkers at the end of the day who make the market here. Okay. They're ones who are renting the apartments. They're the ones who are renting the apartments from the investors who bought, right? The investors aren't going to buy if they can't sell them or rent them to a New Yorker who wants to live in them.
And are they individual investors, like you and I buying units and renting them out? Because that's what we see a lot of in Toronto right now.
Yeah, of course. People from all over the world who buy an apartment for their kid who's 5, and they'll rent it for the next 20 years and see what happens.
What advice would you give to investors?
Be smart, be discerning, always negotiate as hard as you possibly can. Be location specific for kind of how you would want to live there. Because we have a lot of investors that'll just maybe not show up, they'll do things sight unseen. I think it's important to go there. It is real estate at the end of the day. And what might seem like a good deal might be too good of a deal for a reason. So you should look at it. And just run the math, right? Really run the math. Make sure that the numbers work. Because there's a lot of investors who buy early and then they can't rent at the numbers that make sense. And now they've got this asset that is just sitting there and they can't sell it yet for tax purposes, and then they can't rent it, and it becomes tough.
Are you seeing in New York with numbers, in regards to numbers, the income covering the expenses on a monthly basis? Are we seeing a little bit of a loss? And I mean,
depends on the property. I think on average, for residential property in New York City, the investor mindset is that it will cover cost. Right? You want to cover costs. You do not buy residential property in New York City to make 8% on your money.
Sure.
Right? But you buy here to buy $1 million apartment that in 2 years is $1.25 million, or $1.3 million, or $1.5 million. Right? You can't do that in a lot of other places in the world.
Right.
Like my parents have owned real estate all over the country. I think if they paid $3 million for something 10 years ago, I think it's probably worth 2.9 or 3.1 right now.
Somewhere up there.
Like, it doesn't change. The appreciation for the rest of the country is so slow. New York City is really fast.
Right.
Depending. You can get caught in markets where it's not fast though. So you just have to be smart and you have to be ready to hold. Right? If you can hold in New York City, you will always be okay.
Buy and hold.
Yeah,
long
you can
term.
always be okay. You can get lucky. You can flip early. You can make good money early. But I promise you, it is a fact that New York City was once a farm. Right? This was farmland. that sold for like 3 sheep or some crazy shit. So, and there's no property on the market in New York City today for the same price it was on the market for in 1990.
Right.
Everything's changed. So if you can hold, it's the greatest city in the world to own it.
What projects are you excited about right now that you're working on?
We have a lot in Brooklyn, honestly.
Yeah,
We're
so
doing-
talk about the expansion to Brooklyn.
Brooklyn was always just an outer borough to me, and Manhattan was just so big and there was so much going on. And then we just started doing some deals out there, resale deals. We got a few accounts to sell townhouses and things out there, and then Brooklyn just opened itself up, and I said, wait a minute, why am I not focusing here? This is stupid. And so we just opened an office quickly that just started taking over as quickly as we could, and just taking on as many new development projects and as many listings, because they actually sell. And as the market has gotten so expensive and so volatile, New Yorkers have really started going to Brooklyn in droves in a way that they never really had before. It used to just be that Brooklyn was where you would go if you just wanted value, right? You just wanted value. But now we have people saying, like, I'm looking for an apartment for $5 million. I want to see what's available in the West Village, Tribeca, and Brooklyn. And it never used to be that way.
Okay.
And so that's somebody who could have been in Manhattan, but now then they'll see obviously the value. What they can get for $5 million in Brooklyn is still better than what they can get in the Village or Tribeca. And oftentimes they've been purchasing in Brooklyn just because it's an amazing place to live, amazing value. I just bought a house there.
Is that a home that you'll be living in now?
Yeah, eventually.
Okay. Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, we rented it and we're gonna renovate it, going through finishes and all that fun stuff now, but eventually we'll go there.
Talk to me about the book now. When's it come out?
The book
Where can we get it from? Where can our listeners get it from?
Sure. You can go to sellitLikeSerhant.com, and that's where you can pre-order it, right? There's links there to take you to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you want to go. The book comes out September 18th, and it's a sales book on how to build a sales career and how to sell more than anybody else. Whether you want a full-on sales career like I have, whether you live in the United States or on the other end of the world, or you just want a side hustle, or if you're a kid and you want to learn how to like sell your parents more, right, on more dessert, like there are things in this book that'll help you do that too.
Ryan, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So appreciate it. You guys have been awesome. Your team is amazing to put this all together. Beautiful office. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Thanks.